Hey, how you doing? My name is Ryan, and today I'm starting my journey of amassing a giant collection of LEGO Star Wars minifigures. I've tackled Marvel, I've tackled DC, and I think it's time I take on the most popular of all the LEGO brands. Now, as of recording, there are over 1,400 LEGO minifigures from the galaxy far, far away, and who knows how many of those are remakes or slight variations, so I need to find a way to refine my list into something a bit more meaningful and manageable. So for my collection of Star Wars minifigures, I'm turning to the LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga video game as my guide. Brickopedia counts 386 playable characters in the main game, not including DLC. So that's the magic number, 386. I think that's a large enough collection that I get a good balance of Sith and Jedi, bounty hunter and droids, and who knows how many clone troopers. I'll start at the top of the list, going alphabetical order, and the first character is AD4M, and I don't see this character on Bricklink or Brickset or even eBay. That's fine. How about 8D8? Nothing there either. Okay, so not every character that's playable in the video game has a real-life minifigure counterpart. That's fine, I can work with that. But also, looking down at the list, some characters have costume variations that don't have real-life figure counterparts yet, and some characters have cape or no cape variants like Anakin, when the Padawan minifigure in real life doesn't have a cape. And some of these figures don't even look like Star Wars characters. Look at Carib Dis here. What even is that? So it's at this point that I realize I don't know a lot about LEGO Star Wars. Like, I've watched all the movies, I've even seen some of the shows on Disney+, but I couldn't tell you a clone commander from a clone captain, or what's a fair price to pay for either of those. It seems that in order to pull off this massive Star Wars collection, I need advice from someone who knows the theme about as well as I know LEGO Marvel. I have an idea.
Oh, hey Ryan.
Hey Brick Brit, sorry to bother you. I'm hoping you can help me out here. I'm trying to collect every LEGO Star Wars minifigure from the Skywalker Saga video game. How would I do that?
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is beat the game with the story mode, and then you can go back through...
I actually don't mean in the game. I mean in real life, the actual minifigures.
Are you serious?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, that's going to be one mammoth task, but I can try and help you. So first of all, in the Skywalker Saga, there's around 400 characters, but only around 260 of them actually have corresponding minifigures. So that's your baseline of the number you need to collect. 260?
Okay, I think that's doable. I have a few more questions. Why are there so many clones?
Well, first of all, LEGO Star Wars fans have been crying out for more and more clone troopers. It's like we can never have enough clone troopers, and in fairness to LEGO, they've actually been giving us quite a few in recent years. Unfortunately for you, it means that for every clone trooper in the Skywalker Saga that has a corresponding minifigure, you've got to buy that minifigure.
Okay, I think that makes sense. Now, do you have any tips for how I can buy 260 minifigures for relatively cheap and as efficiently as possible?
So the first thing you want to do is start an inventory of every single minifigure you need to get, and once you've got that all in a spreadsheet and you're able to get started, then you need to work out what the cheapest ways of getting those minifigures are. It's basically about scouting out for the best deals and then jumping on as many as you can. Of course, you can talk to sellers and try and see if people are selling their collections, and then maybe they'll give you bundle deals. I would also advise you buy some incomplete minifigures if you can get them for good deals, because you can always go via Bricklink or another site to complete those minifigures later, and it might work out cheaper. Also, with LEGO Star Wars, and there's some particularly strange alien designs, there will be some characters that are kind of droid parts with an exclusive minifigure part in them. Try buying the parts separately and then completing them, and that's another way you could get them for cheaper.
Okay, those are really good tips. Are there any figures, Judah, I should be really worried about here price-wise?
Well, it's LEGO Star Wars, so yes is the short answer. There are some minifigures that LEGO hasn't made for quite a long time. The demand has skyrocketed for them. I'm thinking like Queen Amidala, which is an incredible minifigure from the Gungan sub from 2014. Amazing minifigure design. Unfortunately, that's going to cost you quite a bit. And then there are larger characters like the Rancor or the Wampa that LEGO hasn't made in quite a while, and those are going to cost you a pretty penny. I've actually heard that the Rancor finger pieces can go up to $15 each, which is crazy. So if you want to complete your collection, you're going to have to be prepared for that.
Oh my god, $15 per finger? That's going to be fun. Well, Judah, do you have any figures you could sell to me from your backstock to help me get started collecting?
Well, luckily for you, I am downsizing my LEGO Star Wars minifigure collection a little bit because, let's face it, I am running out of space, they are expensive, and there's a couple of them that I could offer you. So first of all, I could sell you the Padme Amidala, which is the 2013 one from the Republic gunship. That's her Geonosis outfit and a pretty rare minifigure. And we could also do Chancellor Palpatine from the Droid Tri-Fighter. Those are two fairly expensive and unusual minifigures, so I guess I could get you started with those.
2 figures down, a solid first start. Now, thankfully, I'm not starting from scratch like the DCEU video. I do have a couple of LEGO Star Wars figures in my collection. I have like Luke, Vader, maybe a Han Solo, but this Bricklink list of 265 characters is not one you can get fulfilled by just 1 or 2 shops. It'll be closer to 9 stores and thousands of dollars. So I think I'm playing the long game here. I have a plan. I'll start by adding a 6-month average price to every figure and sort from lowest to highest. That way I can get a snapshot of the LEGO Star Wars minifigure market with my character list. This benchmark price will help me determine what is or isn't a good deal for any figure on my list. And bear in mind that price point might move up or down during the collection process, so for some of these figures it might be a bit of a waiting game. To pull off buying almost 300 LEGO Star Wars minifigures, I'll set myself a weekly budget and alternate between buying a bunch of cheap figures and 1 or 2 expensive ones. That way, I'm not putting off all the higher priced figures until the very end, but I get the satisfaction of getting a bunch of figures at one time. I'm also going to follow Judah's advice and buy the build characters from their parts, not their minifigure listing. So take Gazgano for example, this weird droid looking thing with only 1 exclusive piece, that being the head. So instead of paying $20 for the entire character build, I can buy just the head for $5 and the droid parts for mere cents. It's a pretty neat trick to get some of these build characters for dirt cheap. Now, as for the cape versus no cape variants, I'll do my best to find both. For some figures, it'll be easy, like Qui-Gon Jinn, who has both a caped and a non-cape variant from different sets. For others, like Episode 2 Anakin, there technically is a cape version, but it's an older, yellow-headed Anakin. So for the sake of consistency in my Star Wars collection, I'm going to prioritize the newer versions of these characters, so that means no yellow-headed Anakin. For some characters, I might need to have an older version like Gazgano, who doesn't really have a remake of him, but for the most part, if there is a remake of the character and it has the exact same outfit as the Skywalker Saga video game character model, I'll pick that version. So for Anakin, I'm just buying the one without a cape, and maybe I'll add a cape for a custom in the future. With my Bricklink list all set up and my priorities in order, let's start buying some Star Wars minifigures. It's been a few weeks, and I'm finding my method of buying figures off Bricklink working rather well. My new Star Wars collection has some droids, some shockingly cheap figures like Rose Tika, and some more expensive ones like Jabba the Hutt here. Plus, I'm learning a lot more about obscure Star Wars characters like Barriss Offee and Captain Tarpals. This method of budgeting and buying is a pretty effective way to slowly but surely build up a collection of minifigures. But if I'm being honest, it's rather mechanical and kind of boring for a YouTube video. Part of the fun of the DCEU collecting video was scouring the web for deals, winning auctions, and finding victories in unique places. So I thought to myself, maybe it was time to try Whatnot again. Several of you guys mentioned in the comments that not only is Whatnot a safe platform, it's also a great spot to find deals. And last time, I didn't take advantage of one of the key features on Whatnot, that being the live stream auctions. And after a week or so on the platform, yeah, this is pretty great. The Star Wars auctions are far more active with more figures available. There's something really satisfying about seeing these minifigures laid out with hundreds if not thousands of characters all lined up. Plus, you see the quality of the figure you're buying while you're bidding, as a lot of auctioneers have their figures rotating on platforms in front of the camera. But wow, Brick Brit was right, clones are really the star of the Star Wars catalog. There are so many clone packs, bundles, and variants that, honestly, it's hard to keep track of sometimes. I often have my list of wanted characters on my computer screen and my phone running the auctions, and when a person puts up a new clone for auction, I have very little time to see if it's a figure that I need and find out what price I should be paying for it. By the time I do all of that, oftentimes the auction is over. And while Whatnot is certainly better than I expected, it's not perfect. Not every stream is fun, some are much slower paced with an eerily quiet host. Some Whatnot streams are straight up gambling, where you pay for the right to pick a numbered box and win what's inside. Sometimes that's nothing, but I will add, these streamers will often have in their show notes to bid responsibly and even include a floor and ceiling for what you can expect to play for a game entry. That's rather nice of them, but it's still kind of gambling. But for the purposes of this video and collecting LEGO Star Wars minifigures, the biggest downside of Whatnot is that these sellers know the market and they're still looking for profit. Almost every figure I see is either at or slightly above my Bricklink 6-month average price. Add on shipping and taxes, and I don't think you'll ever find a figure on Whatnot that goes for under the lowest price on Bricklink. At first, I didn't make many purchases on Whatnot, and the ones that I did, I may have overpaid for, like the Wampa here. That's not the seller's fault at all, that's on me for swiping bid one too many times. But I'm beginning to wonder if there really is no good way to collect Star Wars minifigures. They're all pretty overpriced to begin with. Add to that then various people trying to profit off of these figures on Whatnot and eBay, and this project might end up becoming too expensive for my liking if I'm going to rely on platforms like Whatnot and eBay. But if I went the Bricklink route, budgeting on a weekly basis, I'd be collecting for about a year. While I'm beginning to understand LEGO Star Wars minifigures, at least the names of some characters, I don't think I understand the many complexities of the LEGO Star Wars secondary market. I'm just one buyer in a vast sea of people willing to pay big bucks for a Star Wars minifigure. But maybe that's the key. I've been so focused on buying Star Wars minifigures that my perspective on the entire theme is rather limited. Perhaps in order to pull off this project, I need to talk to someone on the other side of the transaction.
So my name's Luke.
My name's Trevor.
And we're the Brick Bros on Whatnot and Instagram. Brick_Bros with 2 Z's. We are LEGO Star Wars resellers. We've been only selling on platforms for about a month now, but we've been collecting ourselves for, over a decade.
So there's almost a shared understanding amongst fans of LEGO that Star Wars is the most expensive, if not the most overpriced theme. What do you think?
I would say that some of the sets, some of the figures are overpriced, but I would say overall as a whole, they're pretty fairly priced.
Star Wars is LEGO's most popular IP to date. It's their biggest brand, and it's the biggest thing they sell. In comparison to a lot of the other IPs that LEGO sells, it's definitely a little bit more expensive.
Now, as sellers on Whatnot and other platforms, what goes into pricing a minifigure?
2 main things that go into pricing a figure are the rarity, so which set it came out in, how much was that set worth at the time, and the other big thing is just whether or not it's a named figure. You could have a clone, completely unnamed regular clone, sell for $5 or $6, and then the second you make him unique is a lot more expensive.
It's kind of market dependent. Some people only want clones. Some people only want Jedi. It's how the market wants to value it as well. It's people what they want to pay, really.
Absolutely. And on top of that, we have platform fees. So a lot of times, as a buyer, you may go on and say, hey, this guy's selling for $3 or $4 more than he should be. Well, when you count into fees and shipping and some of the other things too, really you're looking at right about the same price you could buy from some other platforms too.
Now, has the ubiquity of platforms like Whatnot or eBay and Bricklink affect how you price figures?
The expansion of all these platforms and the addition of all these platforms has only helped the buyer at the end of the day, which it should be, right? LEGO is about community, it's about building, it's about creating. And then from a seller's point of view, it's all about, diversity, right? If we have, 3 or 4 different ways of selling LEGO, then if one of them goes down or one of them is not as profitable, then the other kind of even out.
Now, on Whatnot, the auctions are the real star of the show, whether it's dollar starts or sudden death, but I've almost seen that they can be as stressful, if not more stressful, for the seller than the buyer. Is that really the case?
We're sleeping,
We're sleeping
come on.
Today, I would say it is more stressful for the sellers because at the end of the day, we can boil it down to a number, right? A number we've bought per fig, and we can see how much we're selling per fig during the stream. And if those numbers don't match up, we know we're making or we know we're losing. There were times we were struggling, because we were selling under and we were like, man, this is really tough. But, selling LEGO is about fun for us, not necessarily for the money. But
now, you guys have been on both sides of the coin as collectors and sellers. Have you discovered any tips or methods for buying figures cheaply, effectively, and quickly?
Yeah, so surprisingly, Facebook Marketplace. Like, a lot of people like to dog on it kind of, because you get a lot of scammers, you get a lot of people offering egregious prices on stuff. But what we found is most of our inventory comes from local sellers that are offloading their collections or just don't really want it anymore, or their kids go off to college.
Whatnot is a fantastic platform to buy because, like you said, there's some days that you can go into a show and buy a figure for probably less than 50% of what it's worth. And then there's other days where you might not want to buy anything, but just watching a stream is fun. It's enjoyable.
You got to network. We wouldn't be able to be, I would say, successful for the first month or so without having that community, that network of people to support us.
So you mentioned community, and I'd be kicking myself if I didn't ask, do you have any figures that can help out in my Star Wars collection?
Well, we'll definitely take a look for you,
Yeah.
And we'll always keep an eye open.
We respond to every DM, every message, every comment. We're pretty good at responding.
So Ryan, we'll take a look through what we got and we'll see what we can give you.
The Brick Bros are right. I've been so focused on the best budget or the best deals that I haven't had any fun with this project. Collecting minifigures should be a celebration of the brand and theme, and I haven't been doing that. So let's try Whatnot one more time. Not looking for the best price, but for the best time. The LEGO Whatnot community is pretty fantastic. Everyone in the chat is kind, knowledgeable, and fun to talk to. I was even recognized by some channel viewers and sellers, which was a wonderful surprise. One guy even thought I was impersonating Ryan Sevel, which was pretty funny. And by interacting more in streams, I started to enjoy the process of buying, not just the figures themselves. I began to celebrate every victory, whether it was a little below or a little above that 6-month average price. I won a UCS Salacious Crumb for $27 before the barge was even released. I even won a figure for $1, being the first and only bid, and knowing what the Brick Bros told me, I tipped an extra $1 because I imagined the seller sold that figure for well below what he intended to sell it for. I won a pick 3 from seller Minifigs and More and grabbed Hoth Leia, a Sand Trooper, and Qui-Gon Jinn with a cape for only $40. I won several figures from user Mile High Bricks. However, some of my biggest victories came from damaged or slightly used figures. I don't mind the occasional swing wear or even a heel crack, and I'm more than willing to make a deal for a used figure. I picked up an incomplete Newt Gunray for only $2, buying his hat for only $1 on eBay, and even a slightly cracked Phase 2 Commander Gree for only $20. And taking Brick Bros' advice even more, I'm scouring Facebook Marketplace for any deal I can find. I picked up this Magna Guard with the cape from one seller, and I even discovered someone in my area looking to downsize their collection before they went to college. This was a gold mine. In his collection, he had some very expensive figures like Queen Amidala, the A-Wing Lando, and the Rancor with all of his fingers. And as I began having more fun, the wins kept on rolling in. On eBay, I won this Bounty Hunter collection with Zuckuss, Bosk, Vader, Boba Fett, and IG-88. Another person was selling a TC-14 for dirt cheap, and another one had a Max Rebo for $45. He just needed the right color hands. I was on a roll, enjoying the process and finding great deals. So it's been about a week since my Brick Bros interview. Let's see how far I've come. 52%? That's it? I'm barely even halfway? Oh my god, I'm gonna be collecting Star Wars minifigures forever. Oh my god, I'm gonna be collecting Star Wars minifigures forever. Oh my god, minifigures forever. Minifigures forever. Minifigures forever. You know, sometimes I forget the scale of this project. Like, yes, I have over 660 Marvel minifigures on my display board, but that took 20 years to collect. Buying 265 minifigures is no small feat, and that percentage of completion only ticks up a little bit each time I grab 1 or 2 figures, regardless of how excited I am or how good the deal is. So, maybe it's time I take a bigger swing. And I have an idea. Shopping around on Facebook Marketplace got me thinking about downsizing too. I've already donated a lot of my old sets and ships to preschools, but what about my old minifigures? This right here is my backstock. These are all the extra figures I have in my collection that aren't on display. Ever since I was a kid, I tried to keep as many minifigures as I could from various sets or random purchases. So inside this basket is essentially my childhood collection of minifigures. There is some Indiana Jones, some SpongeBob, Dimensions, old Harry Potter, and all the random CMFs I've picked up over the years. Nowadays, they're just kind of sitting there. They're not in a display frame, they're not being used for animations or projects. They really don't have a purpose in my room. Now, I could try and sell these minifigures, but the Brick Bros kind of made it apparent it's tough to get started selling minifigures and turn a profit. So, what if I trade them instead? I took several photos of my older figures, each individually bagged, and proposed the trade deal to Luke and Trevor. They did accept the deal, but they also warned they might not have a ton of figures from my wanted list to trade for, so while this isn't the golden bullet I was looking for, it will surely make a nice dent in my wanted list. And later that afternoon, just as I was perusing Whatnot and Bricklink and eBay simultaneously, which has kind of become my default setup now, I get an email from Luke saying one of his friends has a ton of Star Wars figures, and he's willing to trade for them too. Enter Fritz Bricks, a LEGO reseller, Whatnot streamer, YouTuber, and collector. The sheer amount of figures he moves through his inventory is impressive, buying figures by the thousands, organizing them, pricing them, and selling them for pretty good deals. I sent over my minifigure photos to Fritz along with my Bricklink wanted list, and he told me he would be able to basically finish my entire collection with one trade. As I mailed out my backstock to Fritz, I got excited, not just because I now know my older figures will end up with someone who will appreciate them way more than I do, but for the first time in this project, I can see the finish line getting closer. As multiple small envelopes and bubble mailers arrived on my doorstep, the figures started to pile up gradually. Then, one day, a large box was dropped off, and it was then that I realized I had hit the jackpot with Fritz Bricks. Once I took inventory of my new acquisitions, Bricklink had my wanted list at 99% complete. There was just one figure left to buy, and it was the one that I dreaded the most, Cloud City Lando Calrissian. This remake of the expensive collector's item is also an expensive collector's item and the most expensive figure on my list. But the most expensive item is the simplistic torso, not the elaborate cape. Weird, but I might be able to use that to my advantage. I came across an incomplete Lando figure on eBay without the cape for $150. Verified it was legitimate, so all I need to do now is grab a cape for $15 on Bricklink, and I now have a complete Cloud City Lando for under $175. And as the final packages arrive, the hard part is over. I have successfully collected every available minifigure from the LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga video game. Now, as for what to do with all these figures, well, that's the easy part. Just like my insanely large LEGO Marvel collection, I'm displaying and securing my new Star Wars minifigures in cases by Shop Pop Displays. I grabbed 2 copies of their largest cases, which hold 192 figures each, and building these are incredibly straightforward, and the clean acrylic look is perfect for any professional collection. Shop Pop display cases use 1x1 round studs to ensure an effective connection with your minifigure while minimizing damage to those rarer pieces. The mounts are evenly spaced and the entire case has a magnetic cover to finish the look. Honestly, the choice to display my new minifigures in these Shop Pop display cases has been the easiest part of this entire project. Check out the link in the description box below to see all their available cases, as they have options for collections of all sizes, whether it's a set, brickheads, or minifigures. And big thanks to Shop Pop Displays for helping sponsor this massive project. Now, before we secure the collection into Shop Pop display cases, I'll grab a digital scan of each one so I can use B-roll of any of these Star Wars figures without having to constantly move them. The less you move a figure, the less chance you have of damaging it. And given the amount of time, energy, and funds I've put into this collection, I want to preserve these figures as much as possible. And after a few months of research, budgeting, pricing, shopping, and trading, let's take a look at my brand new, massive LEGO Star Wars minifigure collection. Going in alphabetical order and with as few asides as possible, we have 21B, Forlom, Isla Sakura, Admiral Akbar, Admiral Holdo, Anakin Skywalker Episode 1, Anakin Skywalker Pod Racer, Anakin Skywalker Pilot, Anakin Skywalker Episode 2, Anakin Skywalker Episode 3 with a cape, Anakin Skywalker Episode 3 without a cape, Anakin Skywalker with his yellow Sith eyes, Anakin Skywalker Charred, Aplek, Aura Singh, B1 Battle Droid, B1 Battle Droid Commander, B1 Battle Droid Security, B1 Battle Droid Geonosis, B1 Battle Droid Kashyyyk, B2 Super Battle Droid, BB-8, BB-9E, Bail Organa, Balatik, Barris Afi, Bib Fortuna. I did buy this figure before the new Cell Barge came out, so this is the older version of Bib. Biggs Darklighter, Boba Fett, Young Boba Fett, Bulio, Bosk, C-3PO, C-3PO Red Arm, C-3PO Red Eyes, C-3PO Holiday Special, Captain Antilles, Captain Panaka, Captain PV, Captain Phasma, Captain Tarples, Cardo, Chewbacca, Chewbacca Holiday Special, Chief Chirpa, Clone Trooper Phase 2, Clone Trooper 212th Attack Battalion, Clone Trooper Kashyyyk, Clone Trooper Coruscant Guard, Clone Trooper 501st Legion, Clone Trooper Phase 1, Clone Trooper Sergeant, Clone Trooper Lieutenant, Clone Trooper Captain, Clone Trooper Commander, Commander Cody, Commander Gree, Commander Jeer, Count Dooku, Dio Holiday Special, DJ, Darth Maul with a cape, Darth Maul without a cape, Darth Vader Holiday Special, Darth Vader no helmet, Dengar, Dr. Evazan, Droidica, E-3PO, EV-99 Supervisor Droid, the Emperor's Royal Guard, Empire Captain, FN-2199, who's really just a First Order Stormtrooper with a specific weapon and a very recognizable line. But there are two versions of First Order Stormtrooper helmets, round mouth and pointed mouth, so I made sure to have both in my collection. There's also Fingrin Dan, who's a Bith musician, Finn from Episode 7, Finn Bacta suit, Finn jacket with a white shirt, Finn Episode 9, Finn FN-2187 without his helmet, Finn First Order disguise, First Order Flame Trooper, First Order Jet Trooper, First Order Officer, First Order Snow Trooper, First Order Cold Weather Assault Trooper, First Order Special Forces Fighter Pilot, First Order TIE Fighter Pilot, Garvin Drees, Red Leader, Gazgano, General Grievous, General Hux, General Leo Organa, General Riken, Gonk Droid Holiday Special, Grak Chawa, and side note, I apologize if I mispronounce any of these names. Greedo, Gungan Warrior, Han Solo Episode 4, Han Solo Hoth Hood, Han Solo Hoth No Hood, Han Solo Episode 5, Han Solo Carbonite Shirt, Han Solo Endor, Han Solo in Carbonite, Han Solo Episode 7, Han Solo Stormtrooper Disguise No Helmet, Han Solo Stormtrooper Disguise with helmet, and yes, I made sure there's a Han Solo head underneath that helmet for authenticity. IG-0101 Magna Guard Droid, IG-88, Imperial Trooper, Imperial Gunnery Technician, Imperial Probe Droid, Jabba the Hutt, Jango Fett, Janna, Jar Jar Binks, Jawa, Jack Porkins, Jubnuk or Gamoran Guard, K-3PO, K3R1, Kato Konix, Kiadi Mundi, Kit Fisto, Kuruk, Kylo Ren no helmet, Kylo Ren Episode 9, Kylo Ren no helmet Scar, Lando Calrissian Episode 5, Lando Calrissian Jabba's Palace, Lando Calrissian Episode 5 General, Lando Calrissian Episode 9, Leia in her Bosch disguise, Leia Episode 4, Leia Hoth, Leia Jabba's Palace, Leia Endor Hat, Leia Ewok Village, Leia Cloud City, Leia Endor, Lobot, Logray, Luke Skywalker Episode 4, Luke Skywalker Rebel Pilot, Luke Skywalker Ceremony, Luke Skywalker Hoth, Luke Skywalker Episode 6, Luke Skywalker Episode 5 Jedi, Luke Skywalker Episode 5 No Jacket, Luke Skywalker Endor, Luke Skywalker Old Ahch-To, Luke Skywalker Old Raincoat, Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper, and again there is a Luke head under that helmet for accuracy. Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper disguise no helmet, Luminara Unduli, Mace Windu no cape, Mace Windu with a cape, Malachi, Max Rebo. This is the old Max Rebo, not the new Max Rebo, but could you really tell the difference? Maz Kanata, Mon Mothma, Mouse Droid, Nine Nub, Newt Gunray, Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 1 with a cape, Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 1 no cape, Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 2, Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 2 robe, Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 3 no cape, Old Ben Kenobi Tatooine, Old Ben Kenobi Tatooine with a hood, Ula, Padme Tatooine disguise, Padme Claude, Palpatine Chancellor in gray, Palpatine Chancellor in red, Palpatine Scarred Face. Now the Chancellor in red and the Scarred Face are the same character model in the video game, just with the alternate head, but there was a Palpatine remake figure with his robes and his more normal human face, and that's the figure I picked for his more human appearance. We also have Paplu, Pit Droid, Plo Koon, Poe Dameron Jacket, Poe Dameron Pilot Helmet, Poe Dameron Pilot No Helmet, Poe Dameron Black Resistance Jacket, Poe Dameron Episode 9, Poe Dameron Holiday Special, Poggle the Lesser, Ponda Baba, Praetorian Guard 8th Guard, Praetorian Guard 7th Guard, Praetorian Guard 3rd Guard, Pride, Queen Amidala, Qui-Gon Jinn with a cape, Qui-Gon Jinn no cape, Qui-Gon Jinn Tatooine disguise, R3PO, R2-D2, R2-D2 Swamp, R2-D2 Waiter, R2-Q5, R4-P17, R5-D4, RA7, The Rancor, Ree-Yees, Rey Episode 7 Jedi, Rey in her gray Jedi wrap, Rey Episode 9, Rey Episode 7 Scavenger, Rey Episode 7 Starkiller Base, which is really Rey with a lightsaber and not with her staff, so I decided to give the Scavenger the hood and Rey not a hood. Rey in her gray vest, which looks identical to the first Rey figure but with a staff. And Rey Sith. We also have Roger, Rose Tico First Order disguise, Salacious B. Crumb, Sand Trooper Commander, Sand Trooper Sergeant, Scout Trooper Kashyyyk, Sebulba, Shakti, Sith Jet Trooper, Sith Probe Droid, Sith Trooper, Snoke, Snow Trooper, Stormtrooper Empire Sergeant, Stormtrooper First Order, Stormtrooper First Order Driver, Stormtrooper First Order Officer, Stormtrooper First Order Heavy Assault, Stormtrooper First Order Squad Leader, TC-14, TIE Fighter Pilot, Tali Lintra, Tarful, Tarkin, Tasu Leech, Tebow, T-Do, Temin Wexley, The Emperor, Theron Net, Trudgeon, Tusken Raider, Ugnaught, Unkar Plutt, Ushar, Vickrel, Wampa, Watto, Wedge Antilles, Weequay, Wicket, Yoda, Zam Wessel with her human face, Zeb Seneska, and I did buy the newer, more expensive Zeb than the older, far cheaper one, just for you guys. Zori Bliss and Zuckuss. This collection looks fantastic. It is so satisfying to see all these figures laid out in alphabetical order. Now, you'll notice there are quite a few gaps in these display cases, but there's a good reason for that. Those are the placeholders for all the characters that are in the game, but don't yet have a real-life minifigure counterpart. Over the course of the next year, I'm going to find alternative ways to either buy or make those characters into LEGO minifigures. And I'm really thankful that I planned these gaps from the beginning of the project, because from the time I started until now, LEGO has made several new minifigures of characters that didn't yet have minifigure iterations of them, like Sith Rey for example, or Red-Eyed C-3PO, or even Nine Nub. So there's always a chance that LEGO will continue to expand their minifigure output into the deepest corners of the Skywalker Saga video game. And that's part of the secret to the staying power Star Wars has with LEGO, an entire universe of characters to explore. I mean, who would have thought we'd get fully fleshed out minifigures of Newt Gunray, or even obscure characters like Pongo the Lesser? Every time a new wave of sets come out, the minifigure lineup is often the highlight. You can feel the care that goes into designing each one, whether it's a unique face print, custom weapons, or accessories that make these characters come to life. And looking at this collection, there are very few characters, if any, that didn't get the same love, attention, and care as the bigger names like Luke Skywalker, or Rey, or Darth Vader. Everybody from the lesser-known Jedi like Plo Koon, to the random astromech droids that appear just for 1 second on screen, to the dozens of iterations of clone troopers and stormtroopers, to the memed-upon aliens like Boolio. Everyone in the Skywalker Saga is a fully fleshed out design and a wonderfully done minifigure. With this being my first real dive into LEGO Star Wars, I have to admit there's something special about these figures, even if they are questionably expensive. And after buying a good chunk of these figures on Whatnot, I got a real good insight and appreciation for the LEGO Star Wars community. They're generally positive, excited people ready to show off their collections and figures and ideas about what LEGO Star Wars could be in the future. So I want to thank all the sellers that made deals with me or sold figures to me on Whatnot or even just chatted. I've listed them all here so you can check them out, and of course, big thanks to Fritz Bricks, Brick Bros, and Brick Brit for helping make this new collection a reality. And as always, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.